And number 3, Texas A&M. They went on the road at LSU, Jack, and oh my goodness. The game that ended Brian Kelly's coaching career, LSU just got dog walked in their own stadium. I think that's probably why he got canned, because it was in his own stadium. It's like, okay, you went on the road at Vanderbilt and lost close. All right. Vanderbilt's a top 10 team. You went on the road at Vanderbilt. You had chances to win. You had them at 4th down, and Pavia makes some random magic happen where it's just like, okay. But then you come back at home. And I know Texas A&M is number 3 in the country. You're like, they just barely won by 3 against Arkansas on the road. Like, Texas A&M is not a good road team. At least they're not supposed to be. They hadn't been this year. And then all of a sudden, just absolutely dominate LSU and just get Brian Kelly fired. I mean, good for Texas A&M. Just dominate. I don't know if you can say anyone had a better week than Texas A&M. I mean, oh my goodness, did anyone else make the opposing team fire their coach? Texas A&M did. Huge week for Texas A&M and the Aggies, Jack.
Yeah, very impressive one. I mean, earlier in the game, I mean, you could say the first half, LSU kind of had control. Texas A&M was moving the ball, but that pick, you can't throw that pick, Marcel Reed. But he really kind of
Right.
later in the game kind of made up for that. And there was that punt block as well. So LSU should have had the momentum here, and they're at home. That's a tough place to play. But Texas A&M really showed like they're just such a good team, and you could really argue for 3 teams being number 1 this week between Ohio State, Indiana, and Texas A&M. I think you kind of don't mess with the
Right.
top 5. I think it's Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Bama, and then Georgia. That's kind of like, which was kind of weird because it's kind of been shifting every week so rapidly, but this week kind of stayed the same with the AP
Right.
and our list too. But yeah, very just so impressive just to come back from that, and that second half was just all Texas A&M. I know the score looks close. It was not that close. That was a garbage time touchdown. It was
Right.
just so surprising. And Mike Elko is such a good coach, and
Mm-hmm.
just really,
Right.
really impressive because LSU was winning at half, and they had 2 turnovers from them and scored on them. So,
Mhm.
and this
Right.
going into this was like, and this whole season pretty much is like, can they finally get the offense going? Because they really can't in any game. Ole Miss, they really couldn't get it going. And that at Vanderbilt
Mm-hmm.
game, they had that one 62-yard, but that was like
Mm-hmm.
the one flash in that whole game. They really couldn't get anything else going, and they really couldn't get
Right.
it going in this one either. It's just insane.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that week 1 game, we're like, okay, they finally have a good offense and defense. But this is
Right.
a completely different team. They really just, and even the defense was not great in this one. Just Marcel Reed, dude, he's in the Heisman category too. I know we mentioned Chambliss, Haynes King, Jeremiah Love,
Mm-hmm.
Mendoza as well, but he really is there too. He's just such a good quarterback. And that was a question too going into this is like Texas A&M's offense really has been a little lackluster in these past games,
Mm-hmm.
especially against teams like Arkansas. So very impressive.
Right.
So
It's like
impressive.
they
Yeah.
turn it on. It's so weird because it feels like they struggled to play a complete game, which I think you can definitely make the argument that they did today. But like you look through some of these like great teams that they played, they went on the road at Notre Dame, and like the defense didn't play well, like 40 points. Like Texas A&M put up 41 points, great offensive performance, and then they come back home, and then kind of 3 straight games in a row, Jack. The offense isn't over the top. It's solid, obviously, but it's just like the defense grinds the teams out where you had said that stat where like all the teams combined hardly had any 3rd down conversions.
Yeah.
And then they go on the road at Arkansas, and then the defense is horrific. And Texas A&M puts up 45 just to win it. That's where I was just like, okay, so it seems like they play better at home, especially their defense. But when they go on the road at Notre Dame or even on the road at Arkansas, because you can give them a pass for Notre Dame. You can be like, oh, yeah, well, it's Notre Dame. It happens. They're a great team, runner-up national champion last year. That makes sense. But then you go around on the road on Arkansas and you do the same thing. It's just like, this isn't working. Something's got to change. You got to fix something. And that definitely did, Jack. Because, on the road at LSU, who was ranked by LSU off the face of the earth, do you think that it was just to fire Brian Kelly after this type of performance?
This kind of surprised me. If you said before the week, "Oh, an SEC coach is going to be fired next week," I would have said, "Oh, finally Auburn's letting Hugh Freeze go." But this is a little more surprising that they got rid of Brian Kelly. I know you and me are not
Right.
big fans of him as a person, but he
Right. Yeah.
really has not done much with the program there. He has an okay record, not as good as like Ogeron and other coaches, that or
Mm-hmm.
Nick Saban as well, you could say. But yeah, he just
Mm.
I think really this is just insane this year with head coaching firings, and there's so many jobs opening. And I don't know if we're going to see
Right.
Lane Kiffin go because he's constantly brought up every single job. It's like, is he going to choose LSU? Is he going to choose Florida? Is he going to stay with Ole Miss? I don't really see him leaving Ole Miss. I don't see it just because he's brought that
Right.
team back
Yeah.
to like recognizability. Like that team, like not that great of history, not that great of track record, and he really brought them back. I think has a shot to make it to the
Mm.
SEC championship. But this Brian Kelly era, it really will be summed up from that one play. Remember in the SEC championship, I think against
Uh-huh.
Georgia, where they that field goal blocked, and then they just didn't do anything to pick it up, and then Georgia took it back like 80 some yards. You remember that, right? That's gotta be
True.
that's gotta be like the summed up from this Brian Kelly era. And this kind of did surprise me because
Right.
they have been good with
Mhm.
him. They just have not made they haven't made it to the national championship, obviously, and haven't won an SEC
Right.
championship. So they really haven't
Mhm.
taken that next step. I mean, they have the athletes, they have the talent there. They just can't put everything together. And it seems like Brian Kelly just is not the best leader for that team and does not dedicate
No.
his life to football. Other coaches have. And I know Ed Ogeron said like, "I'll take that job back."
Right.
Seems like he loves that job more than Brian Kelly ever did. It kind of seemed like Brian Kelly was just like intrigued by like, maybe getting just a better record. It's like a stepping stone for him, maybe. Yeah,
Right. And I think the thing with Brian Kelly is that you can't be like, yeah, I'm leaving Notre Dame so I can have the resources and ability to win a national championship. And then that team makes it to a national championship before you. And not just national championship. We can go deeper. We can just say just make the playoff. LSU hasn't sniffed it. Like they've been close, but like they always lose. And then when they have a good offense, then the defense is bad. And the second they figure out the defense, now they can't run the ball at all. And the second a reporter's like, hey, didn't really run the ball tonight, then you snap and you freak out. I think it's very acceptable that he was fired because things are just not working under Brian Kelly. And I mean, especially this game, but I mean, look at LSU. Like, they haven't been spectacular. I mean, South Carolina is one of their better wins. I mean, South Carolina's beaten just by everybody. And they beat Clemson very close, but now we're like, oh, Clemson's not good. So then you're like, well, like, what has LSU really done? They got dominated by Ole Miss, sort of. They were sort of in the game late, but Ole Miss had control. And then that Vanderbilt game, I mean, I understand it, though. You're going on the road at Vanderbilt. That's tough, but it's just like they didn't do great against Louisiana Tech. They really didn't do great against Florida. They didn't do great on the road at Clemson, which turns out Clemson's not good. We didn't know that at the time. And it's just like you look through these games that they win, they're like 20-10 or like 23. Like it's kind of like ugly, where it's like anytime they play a good team, then they lose 19-24, 24-31, and then eventually the straw that finally breaks LSU's backs, 25-49 at home. Where I think that's where you kind of start making excuses because they went on the road at Ole Miss, they went on the road at Vanderbilt on those two losses. Now they got embarrassed, just unequivocally embarrassed in their own stadium. And I think just the lack of effort. I mean, they were up at halftime though. Like
yeah.
LSU wasn't horrible in this, but like the way they got ran out of the building, I'm kind of surprised a little bit because at the end of the day, that's the number 3 team in the country. Unless they're not valuing it like that, I'm not sure exactly what they're evaluating. Because I do agree, but the buyout is crazy. You think they should let him? They should have let him complete the season, or what are you thinking? Because I mean, at this point, you're only 5-3. Like it's not the end of the world, especially in the SEC. Now, you even said Florida still mathematically has a chance to make it. Now, I don't
Right.
think they would make the playoff or anything like that, but it's just like they're not like bottom of the barrel, or at least not like bad, where it's just like do you think this was the right move, or do you think they should have let him coach out of the season, despite what you think about his character concerns, Jack?
Right. I think they were kind of looking for a reason to fire him because this really doesn't make a
Right,
lot of sense. Just like I thought the James Franklin move kind of didn't make a lot of sense either. But I think you let him finish out the season. I see a lot of people kind of speaking out against him as soon as he got fired. It seems like a lot of people didn't like
right.
him. Yeah,
No, nobody.
no, just doesn't seem like that.
I'd surprised if anybody did. Yeah.
Right, I know.
No offense.
Right, right. No offense, no offense. But
We're kind of hating on. Yeah, but I mean, maybe it's deserved. I don't know.
yeah, yeah, I know. But yeah, I don't know if he doesn't lose this bad, is he still the coach? I'm not sure. Like maybe if he loses closer, he's still the coach for them because exactly they're still playing for stuff. This might be a lost season for the CFP,
Mhm.
obviously, but
Right,
those are three like not bad losses. Well, this was embarrassing. This was kind of the straw that camel's back. This
right.
I don't know if this is closer. I think maybe they keep him on, but it seemed like they're kind of looking for a reason to let him go because
Right.
yeah, no, it doesn't really make sense to me. I mean, there's so many buyouts going on.
I
James
know.
Franklin
Yeah,
one,
everyone.
like yeah,
Yeah, colleges are so trigger happy to get rid of their coach this year. Yeah.
no, and these contracts are so large. Like they're making like I know some people, a lot of people are like the players are making so much, but the coach are making way more than the players
Oh
currently.
yeah.
Yeah, it's insane. And Mike Norvell's probably gone. That buyout's going to be insane. And
Jeez. Yeah, we'll see if they end up doing that. Yeah.
right, and I don't know if he's going to be coaching because I know he won't see a lot of that money if he doesn't coach. Like James Franklin, like there's a clause in your
Hmm.
contract if you don't get a job immediately, you're not going to see a lot of that money. But I think if he doesn't take a job, he's still going to be making like close to $1 million like
Yeah.
every month or
Yeah.
every
James
week.
Franklin.
Yeah, it's
Somebody's
yeah,
somebody's gonna hire James Franklin.
right.
I wouldn't be surprised if Florida does it. Yeah.
I heard
Because if
I
Florida,
don't
as Florida is just like, hey, if Florida's like, hey, we'll take a 10-2 season with a loss to Alabama and Georgia every year. Sign
exactly
us up.
yeah right. Like James Franklin gets a lot of flack, but like he's still a great coach, and it seems like he's a great just leader for that team. I mean, he can't win those big games, but a lot of coaches can't win those big games. The fact that he goes that good of track record, has that many winning seasons, and last year was in the Final Four for the CFP, still very impressive. I know it kind of
Hmm.
collapsed near it, but man,
Right.
I
They
think
had that game.
they did, but Notre Dame was kind of like they were hot and they just kind of
Right.
let them
And
back in
that
it.
that late interception by
Right.
Aller was just
Yeah.
inexcusable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard
Crazy to think that was their last chance. Because you
that
think
was the
about when,
last
like,
chance.
Jack, you would, I guess, weeks ago when JJ McCarthy was watching TCU win that game, and then you thinking,
Yeah.
oh, is he going to be able to do it next year?
Right.
And then you think about the same thing with Drew Aller, where you're like, man, like that was his only chance right there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I heard Virginia Tech maybe is reaching out to James Franklin. There's just so many jobs that are opening up. Like, and I think LSU,
Yeah.
this is one of the most
I mean, he'll have
coveted.
pick litter. Yeah.
He really will, and Lane Kiffin if he decides to leave. But LSU,
I don't understand.
I know
Bruh.
he's
Yeah.
really in the mix for every single one, especially the Florida one. This LSU job is so big. It's such a big deal to be the LSU coach.
Yeah. You
And
know what Ole Miss has got to do? They got to do what Indiana just did. They see all the rumors. They see all the things. They're like, you know what? We're locking him down. Signetti, you're not going
right,
anywhere. They
right,
now.
yeah. That's actually what they got to do. Yeah, that's true. And it didn't really I mean, it didn't really make sense for DeBoer to leave Washington because he had such a good record there.
Yeah, he could see that it wasn't going to be as great of a year the next year, and that it was his only chance to get that type of job. Where like
Yeah,
other people that were in conversations for that job, Dan Lanning, he ended up staying because he knew he could continue to get the best recruits, and he knew that he was going to end up having a great year, and he did because he was number one in the country for a lot of the time. Where DeBoer was kind of like the window kind of closed, and so he jumped ship right after that. I understand people upset about DeBoer. Maybe he should have stayed. I mean, he probably should have. Is kind of messed up. But
Was
then the Washington coach, see if you're upset about like coach hopping, like the Washington coach hopped from Arizona and brought like some guys in the transfer portal. So even that is kind of like the same thing, where it's just like the loyalty is unfortunately kind of gone in college football. But Jack.
right. I know. Like the Houston coach, Willie Fritz, right now, he's kind of on a run. They didn't have a great year last year, but Houston's really good. He just
Mhm.
hopped like he was one of the best Tulane coaches ever. If the 12-team playoff is in effect in that 2022 season, Tulane is obviously in. He really brought that
Right.
program back to where they probably should be. But he just recently
Mhm.
jumped back ship back to Houston, and you could say Signetti was coach of James Madison. He kind of left that team, but
Right.
yeah, it's interesting to see where these coaches like. We just said like last episode, Lane Kiffin was the
Mhm.
coach of AU. So weird to
Mhm.
see these where these coaches ended up and where they were before. So yeah,
Right. Yeah, and Brian Kelly. Maybe it
yeah,
was the right decision to go. I don't think I do think you got embarrassed and it was in your own building, but there had to have been other issues going on under behind the scenes. Because if we say yeah, like his character concerns, or like yeah, what we've heard about him, yeah, maybe it makes sense. But they knew a lot of that stuff when they hired him. There had to have
right.
been something going on the scenes, and then back to back losses, just not good enough for LSU. And I think there must have been something going on where they really didn't like him and they really wanted to get him out of there. And LSU ends up taking their third loss of the season, and we're not even in November yet. So they're saying, hey, that's unacceptable. And you know what? Maybe that's fair because LSU has held themselves to a higher standard, but it's just like they haven't done too much winning since that 2019 year. But it's like that 2019 year will never be topped. Insane year by LSU there, and I feel like they've been trying to recreate the magic, which who knows, maybe they'll bring back Coach O, but it'll be very interesting to see what goes on with LSU going forward after the firing very early of Brian Kelly.